because believing in Jesus and believing in church were actually two different processes for me. You know, a lot of us love God, but some of us don't. We sick of church. You know what I'm saying?
I also used to do that. Not until this one time on my birthday, they decided to break me in match.
Can we get the selfie with the squad?
Head to toe.
You're good to go.
I can't unlock it.
It's another exciting Saturday, and I am so happy to be here because I have two very cool people in studio with me.
Hey, what's up?
Hello. Pastor Blake and Pastor Sean.
I was called cool. She called me cool.
I felt good.
That felt
in my emotions.
Very cool. You're very
in my
cool.
emotions.
I'm not gonna do any bio because I want you guys to tell me about yourselves.
Oh wow.
Who's going first?
Pastor Blake, you can go.
Okay. And just for the record, y'all can just call us Blake, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Blake and Sean. You can call me whatever you want, honestly.
Yeah.
Just don't call me late for dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to invite me for dinner, please call me on time. That's all I'm saying.
Blake, if someone ever told you look like AKA.
Shut up, bro. Anyways.
You actually do look like AKA.
See, that's
If you-
light skin discrimination. Born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Lived in LA for 25 years. Met a pretty little girl that loved Jesus with an Australian accent back in 2000 and shivers 8. And that's a dope, crazy story for another day. But true story, from first date to will you marry me was 3 weeks.
What?
We got married 6 months later, and 2020 will be our 10-year wedding anniversary. That's a dope story for another day.
You need to come back.
Yeah, we'll have to make it happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, typical born in a divorced home, daddy issues, ran to the streets, drugs, sex, everything, trying to find myself. But I also grew up a church kid at the exact same time. So God was tradition. It was a uniform. It was of what family did. Wasn't genuine. Walked away from God, walked away from the whole concept, and then after kind of hitting my rock bottom, being in a drug rehab for 13 months, when I was 18 years old, about to die, that's when God actually really came into my world. And that's not when I found church, that's actually when I found Jesus. And it totally changed everything. Shout out to Kanye West, Jesus is King album. That project is fire. I had to do it. But yeah, like I actually found Jesus. Not just the building, not the packaging, not the suit and tie and all the foolishness that sometimes we see that represents church. But I actually found Jesus. But I found him through family, through amazing brothers, amazing men of God, amazing father figures. Came in, changed my life. Then found a church called KINGDOMCITY in 2012. Walked in the doors. Because believing in Jesus and believing in church were actually two different processes for me. You know, a lot of us love God, but some of us don't. We sick of church. You know what I'm saying?
That's a conversation that I want to have.
We'll do that.
She wants to go inside.
Yeah, we'll do that. And so anyways, yeah, it changed my life. It changed how I saw a healthy church. And next thing you know, Africa's home.
Pastor Sean?
Yes. So I'm actually a third Malawian, a third Zambian, and a third Zimbabwean.
That just sounds like a fire drink.
It does. That sounds
African.
like a Southern African cocktail.
You know what I'm saying?
They should have one of those in whatever place that we don't go to. Anyway, so my dad moved across. My dad is actually a sports person, wrestler. He actually, the fun fact, he actually brought the British Bulldog. This is revealing my age.
Come on.
Some of y'all only know like John Cena. I don't know who's on WWE now.
Cena.
I don't know what's happening now. But anyway, he was a wrestler. Came across to Zimbabwe, met my mom, looking all fly and stuff, you know what I mean? Then a few years later I was born. So I actually grew up in Zimbabwe. Went to school, they did everything there, went across to South Africa. I actually acted for a bit. That was my profession for a little bit. I actually was an actor. Don't look for anything on YouTube. Just don't do it. Was in South Africa for that.
Facial expressions is lit.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. Anyway, met my beautiful wife in a church in South Africa. She's South African, Botswana. So then long story short, we found ourselves back in Botswana. This amazing church called KINGDOMCITY in Botswana. Were there in 2017. Joined the team. They loved it. Became part of the family. And then this crazy journey just took us to back home, basically. So I'm actually Zambian, coming back home.
You know, there's so much that I want to jump into, but first I think we can start where Blake started. You said you grew up a church kid.
Yeah.
But you were not Christian.
Yeah.
And I think it resonates with this new way of, well, I don't know if it's new, but for people my age, we're hearing a lot more people saying, I am not religious, I'm spiritual. What does that mean to you? That disconnect between loving church and loving Jesus.
It's why, I mean, honestly, it's why a lot of people want to be in love but are terrified of marriage. Because why? We've seen such horrible examples of it. We've seen train wrecks in our own families. We've seen foolishness on the gram, on Facebook. And so deep down, every person's heart cries out to know God more. Whether we call it that or call it something else, but we all want to be connected to something beyond what we see. But then when we think of church, the moment I say the word church, every listener has a memory, a flashback, you know what I'm saying? 4 hours in a church service and an itchy suit feeling like you're going to die just waiting for fried chicken after. We all have a something. And so a lot of people say, listen, I want God. And so they search for spirituality. But when you think of church, you're like, I know what that is. I've got that figured out already.
It's a box.
Yeah.
It's a box, and we really don't want to live in that box.
Oh, yeah.
We don't.
Okay, we will continue, because these two do not look like pastors, y'all. So we're going to continue the conversation.
What do pastors look like?
Wait, I know.
I'm going to put you on blast. What do pastors look like?
I'm going to tell you after the break. We're going to break and some music, and then I'll tell you exactly
It's a
what
great way to get out of it.
Let's go.
Okay, we are back. This is Jane, and you're an Urban Chic.
Hey.
So we were talking about how a pastor should look, because I was saying my two guests,
tell us.
Pastor Blake and Pastor Sean, they do not look anything like pastors.
What does the pastor look like?
Yes.
Let me just say,
Tell us.
pastors in
Pastors.
Africa, they have one shoe. You know that one shoe? It's either white or animal print
The
or
animal,
something,
the
and then
snake skin, the crocodile.
it points upward. It always looks oversized and points upward.
Because it can't point
These guys are
down.
wearing
Because
sneakers.
if it points down, it's pointing to hell.
It's a sign. It's
So
a
it
sign
must point
of
up to heaven.
descending.
It's
So I think I think that the upward curve is like,
Yeah, but honestly speaking, there is this notion that a Christian must look a certain kind of way, you know, long sleeves, you know, hair, no shagginess, like, you know what I mean? There's a
Shagginess,
certain
Remember
look.
Shaggy? He was a dope art. What happened to Shaggy? You know.
He's still around.
I
I'm sure.
know.
Is it really?
Okay, sorry, my bad. I got distracted.
But do tell, how
Yeah.
do you manage to marry? Obviously, there's a love of fashion here. I can see it, and you know the Christianity bit of it, or being a pastor.
Yeah.
but first of all, I learned everything that I know from him, from AKA slash.
Shut up.
Hey.
Yeah, I learned. So I'm gonna let him get into the A's and B's of personal style.
Well, I mean, honestly, we love fashion, and there is a relevance in our culture that has been deemed so unspiritual by a lot of the religious arena. It's like, if it looks cool, if it's happening, surely it's sinful. And so much of our church world has been afraid of creativity, afraid of innovation. Half of us can walk into churches we grew up in, and 20 years later, they still look exactly the same. It's like you walked into a time capsule. And so our heart is just to bring back relevance and freshness to the church.
Yeah.
Like, there was a time in history where the greatest innovators were the Christians. From Da Vinci to, you know, all of these great designers, Sistine Chapel, they were on the cutting edge of art, fashion, and culture, and they were believers. And now it's like our churches have gotten to a dark ages because of fear and because of pride. And so we're just trying to break out of the mold and just be fun, just be free. You know what I'm saying? It's, I just think the most powerful version of you is the you that's relevant to the culture.
Yeah, come on.
So if someone's going to tune out and miss out on hearing about God because of how I look, if I look like I'm from 20 years ago, then no, I'm not going to do that. Why? Because I want to love you enough to connect with you and make sure that when you see me, you see a little bit of yourself in there as well.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, so I find that let me not say the African, but the Zambian version of Christianity has a lot of our local culture embedded on it.
Yeah.
So if you are doing certain things, they'll say, as a Christian, you're not supposed to do it. But really, it's a cultural conversation. Like, how do you deal with that, Sean?
Well, it's a, you know, like it's a celebration of where you're at. That's why I think each country has its colors, it's the way it does things. So exactly what you're saying. I was going to say, even with what you're saying now, that fashion is actually a reflection of God.
Yes,
It really is. Yeah, no, it really is. Like he's
Preach.
he's the God of color. He's the God
Hallelujah.
of he really is.
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
and I think when you're thinking, you're conscious of that. I mean, we actually when you're in a relationship with God, you can ask him like, what can I wear today? Like he'll tell you. Like this is the most creative being on the ever.
He
There's
created
so
everything.
there's so much
Yeah.
there's so much beauty in culture and in art that we've robbed ourselves of as Christians because we're too afraid of being looked at as a certain way or unholy or whatever. But literally, when you look at the Bible, God anointed two men by the name of Bezalel and Aholiab. These brothers were designers. They weren't preachers. They were not priests. They were craftsmen. They were creative designers specializing in embroidery, fabrics, gold, and designs.
Oh, really?
And God mentioned them by name and said, these guys are anointed to be the chief designers of my temple.
Absolutely.
Why did he do that? God didn't care about the golden fabrics, but he knew humanity did.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And so humanity, if we look at something that we deem valuable, we will actually give more honor to whatever that thing is. That's why you walk into a gorgeous museum and you say, wow, it speaks to the art before you even see the art. Atmosphere, presentation is everything in our culture. And so God wanted beautiful temples and artwork in scripture because he wanted people to realize that he was beautiful as well. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true. I never thought of it like that. And I didn't know about the designers and everything. So as Kingdom City, what are some of the core values that you're trying to, embed in your congregants?
So we've got when you say values, we've got these things called atmospheres, which are the things that we believe, not necessarily we abide by, but the things that if they're in the atmosphere, then the presence of God is there and stuff. So I was even going to say with what Pastor Blake was saying now, that when you look at fashion, lifestyle, and all that stuff, we've tried to get God out of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like we try to get God out of lifestyle. We try to get God out of, and
it's because we're told it's wrong. So you kind of like move away.
You know what I mean? But he spent 6 days crafting this world artistically. You know what I mean? What this culture, what culture tries to do, or what if it's done wrong, it's done for the wrong glory. When it's done for the wrong glory, when it's done to attract the wrong things and whatever, then it goes out of hand. But you're looking at a God who in 6 days intentionally made things. He intentionally looked at things. He so even in relation, so obviously we spoke about culture and art and lifestyle being a reflection of God, but it's also a relationship. How many people out there actually say, God, what should I wear? What should I buy? What should I pick? He knows your body. He knows, he knows what. So I think everything, and the great thing about the reason why I'm mentioning this now is what we really believe in Kingdom City is relationship with God. And lifestyle is a big thing to him. He's not just concerned about what you're going to eat and obviously, so they're not major things, but they're things that obviously people would be concerned about in terms of money and all that stuff. But God is concerned about you looking the best you can. You know what I mean? And he wants to be.
Trying to have you out here all raggedy. You know what I'm saying?
And he wants to be involved in that. He's waiting for people to wake up in the morning and say, you know what, God, I've been trying to dress myself and wearing too short. Like, so he if you ask God, he will swag you out more than anyone can, because he knows your body. He knows the best colors that will suit you. He knows. So you can try your hardest to do what you want to do, or you can go to the one who loves you, who knows. But the Bible actually says he knows the hairs on your head. So if he knows the hairs on your head, he knows what color will suit your curve. You know what I mean? He knows all that stuff. So. And I mention that because when you say what our values come out of relationship with God. That's what we believe. God is in everything. God is in. He's on Sunday, but he is also on Mondays, also on Tuesdays, also on Wednesday. He's there. He's in your closet. He wants
just
to.
the church outfit.
Awesome.
Jen, what's your take on what should Christians wear? What should Christians not wear? Let me ask you.
I believe that Christians should wear everything, obviously taking into consideration occasion and intention behind what it is. I mean, we did talk about culture, so you do have to be appropriate sometimes. So if I know my audience is a certain way, then I must dress that they will want to listen to me and not just judge me based off of how I look.
Amazing.
But if like we're casual, I'm hanging out with my kid or whatever,
Yeah.
then I don't really feel like there's a restriction.
Yeah.
I think that if you go to church 2, 3, 4 times and you are getting to know God, He will guide you.
Yeah,
Oh,
100%.
You
That's-
have
you better
wisdom.
preach, girl. You better preach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shane.
Pastor
Fire.
Jane.
Come on, let's go.
In the house.
She's speaking it. She's speaking it.
First Lady Jane.
Yeah.
Man, thank you
That
so
was
much.
good.
You guys are awesome.
Wow, man.
That was so good.